Welcome back to Launch Your Light, a podcast that covers the soul and strategy of running a business and sharing your heart's work with the world. We have another guest for you here today. I'm so excited to speak to Amanda Houle. She is an intuitive energy alchemist, and she also helps mom connect to their intuition, helps them tap into their gifts. And she also works with moms who know they're raising sovereign souls, and I'm one of them, so I love that. She also helps with breastfeeding, empowerment through energy work, and psychology. These are some great topics. I can't wait to talk to you. So welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right, let's dive right in. How did you
Yeah.
get to this? This is a lot of for anyone who's listening right now, these might be some deep spiritual concepts and terms. And I get it. The majority of my community gets it, and I'm sure your community gets it. But
Yeah.
how did you get to this? How did you get to that intuitive energy alchemist?
Yes.
Full
Oh, here
purpose
comes
seed.
little man. Hi, honey. I told you mommy was outside. I don't know. Honey, I told you mommy's right here, and here's the little man.
Hmm.
Yeah, so basically, I am a former child behaviorist and parent coach in the mindful parenting space. So I had a business and actually in Boston, Parenting with a Punch. So a lot of people might know me from Parenting with a Punch.
Wow.
Yeah, and once my little man was born, I kind of it just didn't resonate with me to coach parents any longer and how to parent because right like here I am raising my own son solo. It was not planned, but that's the cards that I was dealt with.
Mhm.
And yeah, and it just yeah I was just like I this just doesn't I don't want to do it anymore. Like I want to focus on raising my own baby and just kind of be immersed in that. And so I learned, and I was actually thinking about this just the other day. So I had a Kundalini awakening when he was conceived, when my son
Mm.
was conceived, and I didn't realize that's what it was until I think it might have been even after my son was born.
Mhm.
So basically right after birth, I mean, my gifts were activated. My intuition was just so
Mhm.
on fire. I just, I was blessed with I did placenta encapsulation,
Yeah.
which I feel helped immensely. Like I just was not, doing all this on my own, raising, I had a dog at the time too, who was a senior dog, recovering from a C-section, which was not planned. So he had
Hmm.
a traumatic birth. And I did not suffer from stress or anxiety or any of that. Like I was fully tuned in and tapped in. I do attribute that a lot to the placenta encapsulation because I know that helps with your breast milk and just
Hmm.
stress and all those things because it helps you connect, very closely with your little one, right? So,
Hmm.
so yeah, I kind of learned sort of early on that he and I were just so closely connected, and my spiritual journey just kind of deepened from there. I got my Reiki certification when he was just a few months old. And then from there, I
Wow.
was actually being mentored through Miriam Hasna, which she's online. I was in her community for about 2 years as of just late, actually. And learning her community is basically for highly sensitives, psychics, just helping them connect and do their work. So I don't even identify, like I don't use my energy work. I don't use any of the Reiki principles or symbols or anything like that. Like my work is
Hmm.
just good old energy work. Like
Yep. Yep.
I'm brilliant with my hands, but I'm blessed that I'm able to do it distantly. So you don't
Mm.
even have to be on a call or
Mhm.
even on the phone for me to be able to work on you. So I feel very blessed that I'm able to tap in that way. We're still breastfeeding 4 years in.
Wow.
So I am very much, in the energy and mindset of like, again, back to raising the sovereign souls, allowing them to self-wean on their own timeline.
Wow.
Because I know, what it can do psychologically if you do kind of, wean them, um, when they're not ready. And again,
Mhm.
every child is going to be different, right? But my background is in child psychology and child development. So
Mhm.
that's kind of, yeah. So that's pretty much kind of the gist of how I kind of got into my work.
Oh my God, this is so great. So many topics I want to talk about because I'm still breastfeeding my 2.5-year-old.
Oh,
And I'm just like,
amazing.
he is not stopping.
Oh,
I'm like, am I going away at 3 for 4 days? I'm like, what's happening here? So you just saying that gives me some like space and peace a bit of like, he'll wean. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen in 6 months. We'll see. But it's just like
yeah.
there's like no stopping in sight.
I don't know if it's a boy. Is your oldest a girl or do you have two
Yes.
boys?
I have
Okay.
a girl,
See,
and she was like, "Yeah, I'm good at 5
wasn't
months,"
that
and
as,
was like, "Over it." Yeah.
yeah, see, I've never had a girl, right? But as I'm learning as I go, of course, and meeting other moms and, with girls, and I'm just very much learning like the boys and girls they're just two different
Very different.
beasts.
Yeah, very different.
Um, I just think there's just a different, I mean, of course, you're going to be just as connected with your daughter, right, than you are
Yeah,
with your
yeah.
son. But I think it's just a different, I don't know,
She's
I
like
think it's just a different energy.
she's a
Yeah.
very independent, little feisty, sassy being. And
Mm.
I actually we had a hospital birth for both of them, but I got C. diff. I'm like telling everyone this apparently on this episode. Here we go.
Oh,
I
it's
got
okay.
like
Yep.
C. diff, which is disgusting at the
I
hospital.
don't even know what that is.
It's like a super bug. It's what like elderly
Oh,
get at elderly care places and hospitals and type
oh,
of stuff. Like, so I ended up like it was like I should have been rehospitalized, and thank God I kept myself so hydrated in those postpartum days. I
yeah.
like the antibiotics for it are like $1,000. Like it's like a legit
Oh my
big issue to
gosh.
get it. And so I got
Wow.
that. So I think that really interrupted my milk supply right
Mm-hmm.
away at the beginning, and I couldn't
Yes.
sustain her. So we got on formula real quick. So like it was actually great because my husband could feed her and bond with
Yeah.
her, and they're
Yep.
very close. And we did breast milk at the same time for 5 months. But like
Mm-hmm.
she would get on me and be like, "Shoo, done, done," and be like, "Bitch, give me the bottle." Like so it was like this cute little thing we
Yeah.
played so
Mm-hmm.
that she could like let me do it. And then when my son came, it was like a river, like milk and honey flowing frometh. Like I
Yeah,
was like
I've been.
trying to catch it in stuff. Like, give me a cup, give me that's coming out. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's still going. Wow, this episode went real quick, right into the mommy lands.
Mm,
But anyway,
yeah. Well, yeah.
so
I
this
mean,
is
this is my work.
great. Right. Like this is so great that you do this for people because there's so much shame around it. And
Mommy,
everyone has their own
I
story with
want to
it.
talk.
And I think we're back at a time and place where like moms can talk about it. You can find someone. I have these conversations at the playground.
Yeah. Right.
Like no one's hiding this
Mm-hmm.
stuff anymore. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want
Another thing I
to see
wanted to
what
say,
Alyssa.
another thing I wanted to bring up was
Yes.
with this work that you do, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
women come into their gifts upon conception,
Yes.
upon the
Or
birth.
the birthing
Like,
process. Yep.
oh my God, we are being cracked open. This
It's an initiation.
amazing, it's an initiation, 1000%. It's also a death. It's a death of the maiden,
Yes. Death and
which
rebirth.
I
Yep.
love helping moms with that. It is a death
Yes.
of the maiden, and you are being birthed as a mom. There's a lot going on here, baby. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, boom, their gifts pop on. But also, I think because I help people with purpose, their
Yep.
purpose shows up a lot. It's
Yes.
not always the case, but the amount
Right.
of times I've worked with moms that are like, all of a sudden, I couldn't do this anymore and I had to do this. This
Mm-hmm.
became, or even the postpartum process. So, you
Yep.
work with people in this. Like, what's here? There's a lot here. This is an initiation.
Yeah, there's so much here. I mean, you know, I, I think I really bring it back to like my own experience and my own story, right? And and blending it like with my background too, and being in child psychology and child development and just knowing the importance of us raising not only the sovereign souls, but ensuring that we are fostering the secure attachment. Like that is a big piece. Now, of course, I don't know anything else other than breastfeeding, right? So, I can really only speak on that. But I do know for those of us moms that do breastfeed and recognize the beautiful gift that it is for not only us, but our children. I mean, it's ultimately that breastfeeding relationship. Yes, it's that secret bond. Like, yes, it's a connection like no other. But really, ultimately, it's about about what giving them what's best for them, and really doing what's best for their development, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. um but I so again, like, I was a soul mom that wasn't planned. um Especially in the beginning, there was always this feeling of like, is there's possibility, like, will he eventually show up, like there was until I
Yeah.
finally made that, that cut of, or that detachment of like, okay, this is what's happening. Like, I'm no longer going to associate or even put my energy, you know even into this, right, of the what ifs. And I still was able to show up, in presence and being grounded. And I do attribute it a lot to, I'm not new to the spiritual journey, right? I mean, I was on a spiritual journey for years prior to becoming a mom. I do believe I bring a lot of wisdom. I had my son at 39. So I did have him later in life. Like, I feel like I kind of got everything, out of my
Yeah.
system. And just having, worked with so many families prior, um, in development and psychology and behavior, and just being able to recognize that we get to show up in joy and ease when we choose to. But there is such society, it's the societal standards that, and this could be, I mean, you could have a conversation for this for days. I feel
know.
like
Yeah.
we are immediately supposed to detach from our children from the moment we bring them home, right? Whether you have a hospital birth or natural birth, which of course I'm an advocate for natural birth. It, by circumstance, I had to have him in the hospital. But put them in another room, put them in a crib, put them in we still bed share 4 years later.
Yeah.
It's just, and none of it, it's just, in most other countries, they do, like, they don't
Yeah.
know any, like, they don't know anything about cribs or the bassinets, and go back to work after 6 weeks to 3 months, which
Crazy.
also again disrupts the breastfeeding relationship, because it's going to be that much more difficult because you're not near them, which helps your supply, right? Stress, we don't talk about stress, is a huge, which again comes back to all of these things that moms are supposed to do when they have kids after a certain amount of time. It's like we're supposed to we're supposed to allow somebody else to raise them. And I just think we would have a different world if we honored the mom and child duo.
Yep.
um
You're on the right podcast. Because like
yeah,
I feel like my work, I'm like, I so much, like a big pillar of why I do what I do is to help moms figure out how to make their own money so that they can have their own freedom and make the decisions they
exactly.
need to for their family. Right.
Yes.
And it's not easy. I'm not ever going to pretend that this is an easy road to be an entrepreneur, to make your own money, to do your own thing. But there
Right.
there is a way, there is a path.
Yes.
And
Yep.
it comes with the ability to choose. I
Yes.
remember holding my baby at 6 weeks and being like, I just hysterically cried for the grief of all of the moms that have to send their
Let
child
go.
somewhere. I was like, this is insane. And I'm like, I'm sure someone who's listening to this is triggered at this point of this call. LOL, they probably got off the call a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they got off at breast milk. They got off
Yeah,
at
right.
placenta encapsulation. Anywho, but I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who are like, we will stand up and have these conversations for the moms who can't. We will
Yeah.
stand up and have these public conversations for the mom who's secretly dying inside because she has to send her kid to work tomorrow. And it's 6 weeks and every fiber of her body is saying, I should be fucking here with them. They should not be
Right.
going into someone else's hands. Now, I will say, at the
Yep.
other hand, I've known women who, like, for their own psychological being are like, no, I can't be with them. the whole time right now. And I do need help with this. And I will hold space for that mom too, right?
Right.
But I think those roots really highlight the issue of how unsupported we are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
There's just no like the pediatricians, like it's just the whole system, all of our providers that are supposed to take care of us, which again, unless you are blessed and you are and or you're just aware to know to seek the more holistic side of the
Mhm.
birthing process,
Mhm.
which I feel like I I really am dedicated to being in that space and
Mhm.
empowering more moms, even when they're in the um process of deciding to,
Mhm.
or family planning, to go
Mhm.
that route, because it is just a it's just a different journey.
Yeah.
I think there's also uh, no, it's almost like I'm biased because I'm a solo mom, right? I've been doing all
Yeah.
this on my own since day
Uh-huh.
one. And I I mean, from a financial perspective,
Mhm.
I should have been putting my son in daycare.
Mhm.
And but there was just no, like, I've just had to figure it out as I go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't feel, and this is not to, to obviously demean or like put, but I we need that support in order for the women to have that strong mental support.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's a lot of why they do, because they don't feel strong enough to
Mhm.
be able to figure it out as they go.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was equipped to do it, and
Mhm.
that's also
Mhm.
why I feel like I'm made to, to pave the way for, in this space.
1000%, 1000%. Also, it's like it's really hard when you're in that postpartum phase. You're feeling very vulnerable. Some women feeling the most vulnerable they've ever felt with what they've just been through, right? And then
Yep.
they got to try to go against everything, go against society, go against what their family's saying, go against what their in-laws are saying, like this whole what everyone thinks is right. You drop them off, you go back to work, you put them in school. It takes some inner strength and truth to stand up against that, and this
Hmm.
is this is why we're having this conversation, right? Because we
Yeah.
are putting that frequency and vibration onto the fucking planet. And I know millions of people are having this conversation right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And the truth is too, it's also, I feel like it also stems back to breaking generational cycles, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, real talk, all of my friendships that I had prior to I, they're all gone.
Mhm.
I do not have, I mean, family, friends. I've had to grieve that because everything shifted, everything changed when I became a mom. My values and my priorities were doing what was best for my family, and
Yep.
nobody really understood that.
Mhm.
And I wasn't going to fuck around when it came
Mhm.
to making sure that, I'm
Yep.
protecting my family. And that
Mhm.
and sure, did I lose a lot? But I don't even look at it at that anymore,
Yeah.
as
Agreed.
in that way anymore. It's
Mhm.
just I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing,
Mhm.
and those that are aligned, I'll meet my soul tribe. I'll meet my, that village.
Mhm.
And I think again goes back to just that self awareness, that, that strong inner self, and really being able to do it right, to be able to show up and have that support. So yeah.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because in the soul purpose world, like I do tell people and showcase that too, like to be a visionary, to do someone who's going against the grain, to be someone who's a wayfinder, to be someone who's like trailblazing.
Yes.
It can be
Yeah.
very lonely.
Yes,
You know
very,
what I
because
mean?
you're doing everything. Yeah, I mean, you're doing everything against the grain. You'll be lucky to. They're taking dye out of our foods. Yes, my son is very excited about taking dyes out of our foods.
Oh, this is such a great conversation. We've brought up so
Yes,
much. Okay, wait, because
yes.
there's also like,
Um,
can I bring up this too? Because I do hear from like, I can connect to all the like people on the whole spectrum from like
yeah.
the I don't even want to start labeling it, but I can really talk and hang with a lot of different, a range of people,
Yep.
right? So
Yep. Hmm.
some people think I'm really crunchy granola, but to my crunchy people, they're like, oh my God, you still do that? So I'm like kind of in the middle on the spectrum here, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But,
Yep.
like there's there's this concept of like, everyone's like, it takes a village, right? And like, oh, you need your village, and like, oh, the old ways. I do feel like there are so many people that didn't want to be part of the village. You
You mean
know?
like back in the day, or just
Yes, there were
yeah,
always
right.
outliers. There were always people who were like, "Yeah,
Mm.
no, bro, the village is fucking loud and stinky. I'm gonna be
I
way
still
over
wanna,
there. I need
yeah.
my space. I want my freedom." Even then, it wasn't always like this big supportive village. There were people who were like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna do this on my own." And I think a lot of trailblazer women feel that and experience that.
Mm. Yeah,
And it's
I
like,
resonate with that
it's
for
not
sure.
gonna be that you're in the center of it all and that like, for example, like, I am all about support, but at the same time, I
Yep.
don't wanna live with anyone. Like, I don't
Right.
wanna be in a commune. Like, I'm good with that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, no,
you know what
same
I mean?
here.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I like my space. I'm a queen, I'm a
Yes.
hermit.
Right.
Me and my husband, like, we have big boundary we both let each other have our own lives, you know what I mean?
Yep. Mhm.
But we have this family together. I
Right.
don't know if I'd be good with random people stopping by and coming in and doing that. Like, so I'm very
Oh,
still
yeah, that's yeah.
me in that. And of course, anyone do what they need, but this is good for women to kind of go like, who am I? What mom do I want to be? When I help women prepare for birth, I'm like, get clear on what is the type of mom that you feel is coming through. And don't be
Right.
surprised if it all goes out the fucking door the minute that kid comes out of you.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things that, like you say, that you won't do, right? Prior. I mean, I was definitely
Hmm.
that mom that was, wasn't going to introduce TV, and never, and
Right,
my
right,
child has had die, and which again, like, but I've had to learn the hard way, in terms of like the health stuff,
right.
unfortunately, but for other reasons, but yeah, I mean, I strongly believe that if we know ourselves as women, and it's not that, again, we're going to go through an initiation, right? When we become moms, it's just it is that's just what it is. You are initiating into a totally different
Mhm.
uh galaxy. I feel
Yes,
like
yes.
it's a completely different sphere. And but I feel like if you go into it at least knowing like your core values, like your core wants, and really understanding the dynamics of child psychology and fostering secure attachment, I believe that we will have the society that is needed to just function, to highly function.
Mhm,
We won't have all of the things that we're seeing going on, right?
mhm,
That's everything that is unfolding
mhm,
for these adults that are
mhm.
throwing, temper and I don't believe they receive secure attachment. I
Right.
don't,
Yeah, yeah.
and I just think that we would live in a better world if we
Mhm,
were
mhm.
um in that space.
Let's go into that because we've already brought up a million other triggering issues. I unschool, wild school, nature school,
Yep.
homeschool. You got on and said you do that.
Mm,
So I know this is
yes.
another one that people like flip the fuck out over. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, my children are so independent and me and my husband are independent too, but like they're actually growing up in society. They're growing up
Yes.
around people. A lot of people are like, what are you going to do for socialization? And I'm like,
Oh
tell
my
me that
gosh.
sending your kids to the same four walls with the same 25 people day in and day out, year over year, is actual socialization. It's
And the same
insanity.
and the same fucking age.
Right. I'm like, no, my kids know what to do with elderly. My kids know how to interact with someone in a wheelchair. My kids know how to go to the fucking post office. My kids know how to hang out with 150 kids in a field like they did today in wild school. That's socialization.
Yes, that is social. My son loves going to the grocery store with me. My
Right,
son
right,
gets along better with children that are older than
right.
him, because he's very highly intelligent and he's soaking up everything,
Hmm.
like almost developmentally well, he's developmentally more advanced, but so again, like I just, and again, this is not, we're not shaming, we're not, if you choose to send your child to school, that's your own decision, but I just think, right back
Hmm.
to, if this is what is going to bring a society
Hmm.
of healthy individuals,
Hmm.
and just allowing them to be free and learn all of the ways to just be a human.
Hmm.
All the
Yeah,
things that we have to show up and do every day. And you're not taught that in school. We're not
no,
taught finances, none of those things.
no. Also, a lot of people are like, what are you going to do for school? I'm like, first of all, I'm buying curriculum from teachers who left the system. So, you
Yep.
know what
I'm
I
one
mean?
of them.
Like, yo, right, you were in this, like,
I'm a
I'm
former educator too.
like
Yep.
literally
Hmm.
a quarter of the moms at homeschool were educators who left the system.
Oh,
Right. So I'm
it's
like,
true.
I'm surrounded by these stories every day. But at the same time, a lot of people aren't thinking towards the future in this way. They're like, what are you going to do now? What are your kids going to learn? I'm like,
I
then I bring up
I get
70% of the jobs we have in this country and around the planet right now will be taken over by AI in the next
mm,
10 years. So
truth.
really, what the fuck are we actually sending our kids to school for? Because that's the
Right.
real
Because
conversation we need to have. That's about like we are walking into the largest technological shift like we had in the Industrial Revolution.
it's,
We are at
yeah,
another revolution, y'all. What
yes, we
are our
are.
kids going
Yes,
to
we
be
are.
doing? And I say, you know what they're going to be? Humans. We are going to be forced to become humans more than
Yes.
robots. We are going to be forced into a level of consciousness that we haven't seen on the planet yet. People aren't ready for that shit.
Mm,
So that's
oh
what,
my
so like
God. I just
people
got
want
the
to bring up,
chills.
I know, right? People want to bring up fucking school at me. I'm like, let's go. Let's have this
It's,
conversation right now because I'm going to light a fire under your fucking ass.
I know.
Right. And like, really, what are your kids? I don't know what my kids are just built a fort today. So, like, your kids are going to want to follow my kids because we're going to make it through whatever the hell's coming. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
It's, a lot of it too is, as we know, right? The parents are stuck in a system because they're working for other people and
Right.
they are dependent on, on that paycheck from somebody else. But I'm telling you, man, if we have more of us doing soul-led work, conscious
Hmm.
business,
Hmm.
uh, it would just look so different.
Hmm.
And another thing is too, which is, circling back to just being home with our babies, right? You don't need a lot financially.
Right.
You,
Good point.
I mean,
Good point.
especially in the first 1 to 2 years, I feel like once they get maybe close to, I can't even recall at this point. It's like total mom brain mush. But you don't need a
Hmm.
lot. You need presence. They don't need a lot of things. If
Hmm.
don't focus on having to buy all the things, then
Hmm.
you'll be okay. I promise.
I think a lot like when I left corporate 12 or 13 years ago
Mm,
before I had kids. So I got
yep.
to see that transition not within having kids but just like as an entrepreneur in general. And me and my husband went and started our own business. So we're both entrepreneurs. So we've got that
Yes.
level of chaos and freedom and
Hmm.
it's a beautiful
Right.
package mixed in one, but we're not like he has a job and I'm the entrepreneur. We're both entrepreneurs.
I
And
Yeah.
unwinding
Big
yourself
piece.
from the corporate culture is really interesting. And I had hospitality industry background and corporation
Mm,
background. And it took me years. I'm still kind of unwinding from that box that you get put in, right? If you're not working,
yeah.
you're not productive. If you're not productive, you're not a good part of the society, that
Oh, I
kind of,
hear that. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So it was like when I realized how much I was buying to make myself happy in that environment because I thought I earned it and I deserved it, which is that theme, that storyline.
Yes.
We realized how much money we weren't spending anymore. And we
I,
were like, oh, oh, okay. Right? Our values shifted, our priorities shifted, and our bank account shifted. And we went, this is doable. Right? And the same thing with kids. You add kids onto it. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We're just like we're not buying things that everyone
Yeah.
else is buying.
It's yeah, I mean, when you are more intentional and you're aware, you see it, you notice it.
Mm-hmm. And I've had straight up conversations with moms who are like, they left work, they went back to work, and they're like, honestly, I have a lifestyle that I want to keep up, and I want a job that pays for that, so it can keep up with that lifestyle. And she fucking owned it. These, they own it. Like, I want these
Right.
things. I have a high price tag. I like these things that I want to have, and therefore they will continue to choose that. But for any mom hearing this right the fuck now, there is a way that you
Yeah.
can do it. And what it is getting really clear, right? On
Yes. Mm-hmm.
your lifestyle and your values and where you're spending and what you feel like you have to do.
Yeah, and then I'm also, I mean, I am in the precipice. I will be a multimillionaire. I'm right. I'm on my way there, right? So while like I had all the designer things, like right, like prior to becoming a mom, like I lived that life. Like
Yeah.
I sure I enjoyed it and I loved it. And I'm sure even when but you can still, and the reason why I brought that up is because I want moms to know that when you are tapped into your intuition and you are because when you and again, this comes back like full circle to that divine sacred relationship with your children, when you are tapped into who you are and that divine relationship with your children, you have that soulful purpose. It's just, I don't even know how to put it into words right now. Like it fuels you in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still make a shit ton of fucking money by changing the world, and also still having the fun things that you want to have. Like, it doesn't have to be either or.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that is really what every mom needs to also understand is our children feed off of energy. As we know, energy is everything, and everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you master your own energy as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
You're fucking unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
And that I know has attributed greatly to my success in being a mom and building, in the process of building a massively successful business.
Amen to that. Ooh. People need to fucking hear this. And also, like, I'm sure you agree with this. When you do shift over, and get behind your gifts, your values, I call the soul purpose you're here to show up.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's usually in a shorter amount of time than what you were trading in at a job for the 9 to 5.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
moms, you can work like a few hours a day. Like, I run a business school for women. I only have a few hours a day that I take calls like this. I'll take my private clients, do my and when I became a mom, I really I became so freaking clear about what I had to do in the small amount of time I have. Ain't no dilly-dallying. You figure it out. Where I was like, and now after 2, I'm like, what the fuck was I doing before kids? Diddling the fuck around. I'm making more, doing more, accomplishing more, being more than I ever fucking did before kids. Wow, I'm so fired up.
It's so true, because you just, and I'm getting the chills again, because I just feel like you have a different, I actually just did a post about this kind of, I briefly talked about it. Like, your legacy it's just different when you become a mom. And you just get fired up differently. And I really do believe that the real legacy is what we're leaving behind for our children. Can you actually, like, are you actually going to be able to have a healthy relationship when they are adult children? Are they going to want to hang out with you and be a part? Like, my son's future wife, God bless if he gets, married, and she is going to be, I'm going to bring her on as if she was my own daughter. I'm going to be there to help her do all of the things as a new mom. I'm going to be that healthy grandma. I'm going to be that, and I'm an older mom. I'm going to be that, on hands, doing everything, like being active with my grandkid, like that. If you are not thinking about that before, or even like right when you have children, I think that you need to start, because we don't think about that, and everything that you do in the first few years is going to dictate everything that's going to happen
Mm-hmm.
when they are older.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you have I mean, did you have children for what, just to do the status quo,
Mm-hmm.
or do you genuinely want to have a relationship with these humans that you give birth to?
I think that's what this generation, us that are having kids right now, get to actually have that conversation, right? Our ancestors
Yes.
didn't get to have that conversation, right? They were
No.
just like
Mm-mm.
popping out fucking 8 to 12. Like, God
I know.
bless the Lord of that. I'm like struggle city with two, but like,
Yeah.
wow, it's amazing. But we actually get to have these conversations now. Why are we doing this? Do we have to? How many women I know that aren't having kids? Like a
Yeah.
lot. And they're just like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
not for me. We live in a time and freedom where they can choose to not. And they're
Right.
probably not the best suited to have kids and don't want it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They
absolutely. And it's
come to
great that
my
they
house,
recognize that.
right? Come to my house for a
Yeah.
weekend. They're like, yeah, hard no. And I'm like,
Yeah.
glad I could help you on your decision journey.
Yeah, because I also very strongly believe too that we need to we need to know what we're getting ourselves into. We need to be mindfully prepared,
Mhm,
because not just anybody should be having kids. And
mhm.
I do strongly believe that,
Yeah.
because I don't think it's right that we're
Mhm,
fucking up our children. I
mhm.
just, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I don't gel with it.
Yeah.
They're just not my people.
Yeah.
And I will be the
Yeah.
first to, and it's not that I am judging, but
Mhm,
I'm very protective of my energy
mhm,
and in the space and
mhm,
whom I want in my sphere, in my atmosphere,
mhm.
So
Don't you agree that this is the first time ever where we're able to like consciously decide if we want children? A lot of people are. I'm not saying everyone, because look, there's still loads of people who are just having
yeah, I
kids,
know.
and it's
Right.
always. And I was part of the group that was like had trouble. I didn't. We didn't have trouble conceiving, but we had a lot of miscarriages. And
Mm,
it was it was hard to see like a bunch of people who didn't want to have kids when there's so many people who are struggling to have kids. It's a very interesting dichotomy right now. And really in between that, I
it
think the
is.
truth there is like the consciousness. There is a piece of being conscious about having kids on the planet right now.
No, this is true. And also, a lot of the kids that have been coming through in these last few years and are coming through now, I mean, they are born with
Right.
immense gifts.
Yep.
Like
Hmm.
I mean, they chose us
Hmm.
because
Yep.
we are the awakened ones. We are the
Hmm.
ones, like, here to help them
Hmm.
evolve
Yep.
and
Hmm.
into exactly who they are supposed to be, and not here to dim their light.
Yeah.
So I think the more women who are, and men too,
Hmm.
because it's important too, just as important as
Hmm.
women. We just
Yeah.
have, of course we carry, and it is a different connection, but yeah, it's just a profound
Hmm.
experience. And when you are tapped into that spiritually
Hmm.
and like prepared mentally, all the things, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, it's just a different experience.
Yep. I didn't even tell you this, but and I love guys, we just met, just so you know. Her and I just met.
Yes.
I love when it just flows like this,
I
baby. Like
know, isn't it
the
amazing?
the good
Divinely
green earth.
connected.
Gaia just
Yes.
brings us together. But so we
Love it.
had we had such a hard time that it was an awakening for me to go through like those multiple. We had like 6 losses before we had Goldie come
Yeah, that's
through.
heavy.
And
Mm.
my mom was dying during the same time. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that's a lot of
talk about an initiation.
yeah.
But all my gifts connected to the rainbow tribe of children opened up.
Mm,
So I started channeling my kids coming through. And that's why I was like, I was so sound in the truth that they were coming because they were up my ass spiritually, right? Like I was connecting to them for years, their names, who they were, what they have to do, their missions,
see?
and then so I started writing about them and then started channeling. And by the time Jameson came in after Goldie had come through, they were like, boom, boom. They came
Mm.
really quick. They're like 18 months apart. He was like, he came into my body on 2/2/22 and literally was like, we're going to work with families who need this. And I channeled for 25 different families who were having trouble conceiving that year, and wrote a
God
book.
bless.
Oh,
Oh,
he was
that is
busy.
absolutely
Yeah.
fucking
And it was like,
incredible.
so it's like a whole process on healing your body and healing the family,
Mm.
becoming a nest of light, letting your womb become a nest of light for these advanced children who are coming. Right?
Yes. And it doesn't sound like you had this experience. So none of your children that passed in miscarriage, they did not come through with your daughter or son. Like they didn't
So
decide to come through at a later time. They were different beings,
it
different
was
souls.
sometimes it was like a spirit guide. Sometimes it was, I had twins that
Mm.
came through and they passed on. And I'm like, I don't know if we don't know if we're done yet. So we don't know. And then I felt that they had come in, like one time Jameson came in and literally as I was miscarrying after, I could feel a spirit come right to me and be like, it wasn't time.
I'm not ready.
He was like, because I was I was on a light worker summit and I was in front of 2,500 people. And he literally, as I was miscarrying, I got off the stage literally and started bleeding. And he came through and he was like,
Chills.
he's like, I
Fuck.
just needed to be in your body for that. I'll be back, I promise. And I was just like,
See, I just got the chills.
like, this is so insane. Like, why is this happening to me? And like now, years on the other
You're
side of this,
able
I'm like,
to.
I get it. And then
Now you see.
when I was postpartum with both of them, I wrote my book Launch Your Light, which I'm about to be publishing this year. So I
Oh my
used
God, that is
my
amazing.
portal
Yep.
time to let these
Yes.
gifts come through. You know what I mean?
Yep. And that's exact. I mean, if you, for any mom that is listening to this, no matter where you're at in your journey, if you allow it to be a portal, just as is that Jayme said, I promise you, your gifts will, like, you will begin to feel that, we all receive them differently, right? But that is how you were able to, when you get that support, they can help you kind of see, right? Like what it is that's coming through. But we all have it. We all have access to it. Every single woman, every single man too, but all have access to that portal and that connection. It's
Yeah.
just of whether or not they choose to partake in it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're the person that they can come to for this.
Yes.
Also, last thing here, placenta encapsulation. Fucking loved it. I had Goldies and I used Goldies I had an amazing sister friend and doula, medicine woman, do it for me. So you loved it too. Did that not help so much with the postpartum time?
I think every single woman having a child needs to do placenta encapsulation.
Yep.
You need to get over the fear of it being gross. It's not. You take. What do you take? You take. It's a pill. You take fucking pills from any and every other
drugstore, doctor, physician.
Right. Yeah. If
right.
you can, I'm hoping that you don't, because I do, I help support holistic. But again, you can do that. You can do placenta encapsulation. It will change your postpartum experience. I do strongly believe that not only did that help with my breast milk, but also the stress and or anxiety. Like I was sad to have it. Like I didn't want it to end. I was like, this isn't, like, I felt the difference in the energy. Like my doula, the woman that I did it with was like, make sure you don't take it like too close to bedtime, because it can. It was. And I was, and thankfully, I actually had a large placenta, so she was able to get a good amount of capsules. But I mean, it's worth it. Every single woman should be doing it. And then this is also something that I really want to make sure that is said on this podcast when it comes to postpartum stress and anxiety, and something that is not talked about even with lactation consultants. When you stop breastfeeding, whether or not your hormones are completely out of whack, and we don't talk about that. So when you are stopping breastfeeding without being, I mean, I know women today that stopped breastfeeding and are still making milk. It's wild.
Wow.
You will experience depression or anxiety because your body is not naturally supposed to stop. We are built to breastfeed. And stress is a huge, huge piece of our milk supply dropping. I mean, that again, this is, we could go into a whole other discussion on this, but this needs to be made more aware to moms. When you're making that decision, okay, can I do this mentally? Yes, you can. You can push through, and you can get, because it does get easier, and the breastfeeding relationship really becomes to be a very beautiful experience. You have to ask yourself, are you willing to let go of this sacred, beautiful connection? And because you mentally cannot handle it, but then you stop, and now you're going to be most likely going to be dealing with anxiety or depression anyways. So why wouldn't you keep this relationship? I just had to throw that in there.
Hey, we've ticked all the boxes of triggers today. And Amanda, I'm so glad you came on here to have this conversation with me. I didn't see it going here. I didn't know what we were going to talk about. But now we did, and we're going to publish this. So
yes, excited.
Okay, how can people, I will get your links from you, and it will be in the show notes, but you are on TikTok. So tell them what your thing is on TikTok.
Yep, I'm on TikTok, Divine Motherhood. My website is divinemotherhood.com.
I love it.
And Facebook is, you can just connect with me, Amanda Houle on Facebook, or follow me there. But my main platform is TikTok. That's my platform of choice.
Yes.
I try and cross post, but yes, the TikTok is, and then I also, my breastfeeding channel is, of course, TikTok. Of course, I'm going to, really, Amanda? I'm going to pull it up because I should, Booby Milk Love is my TikTok handle.
Booby Milk Love,
yes, Booby Milk Love on TikTok as well.
Oh my God. Well, I love looking at Florida behind your head the entire time. Guys, it's like palm trees, blue, green. It's still freaking cold up here. So I enjoyed your background the whole time and your tan. Okay, Amanda, this was so divine to talk to you today.
Thank you for having me on. It was truly, it was beautiful.
I'm like sweating. I just showered and now I'm all red in the face. I'm fucking sweating after this conversation with you.
We had such a deep, intuitive discussion. Yeah, it was awesome.
All right. We will stay in touch with you, and maybe we'll talk to you next year on the podcast, but me and you are going to stay in touch for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, well, to all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening to this podcast today. We will see you for another guest. Bye.